Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at a possible 2024 matchup. This is really not that unlikely of a matchup. We have Donald Trump running as a third-party candidate against both the Republican and Democratic nominees for president. So before we get into this, make sure you join Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So taking a look at the electoral map, basically I do have Joe Biden running for re-election. I think that he's not going to ruin his political capital right now by announcing that he's not going to run. He's not going to announce that he won't be seeking a second term anytime soon. I think really it'll just depend on his health and whether or not he actually wants to seek re-election in 2024. At his age, he would be 82, and he would be the first president in their 80s, even if he finishes serving his first term. For Donald Trump, he would be 1 year younger than Joe Biden, and I think that his chances of running for re-election or running for a second non-consecutive term are a little bit higher than Joe Biden's, but really I think it's all about health, at these two men's age. The Republican nominee, it could be many people, Nikki Haley, or it could be someone like Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio. A lot of Republicans are eyeing that nomination. For the Democrats, it's whether or not Joe Biden steps aside after his first term. So first, I'm going to fill in these solid states because this map, Donald Trump and the Republicans, they are really splitting the same amount of voters. Joe Biden is probably going to have the same voters as he did in the 2020 election, while the Republicans and whatever third party that Trump chooses to run with, they're going to basically fracture the conservative base. So taking a look at the solid states for Joe Biden, first I'm going to fill in the solid states that are traditionally solid for the Democratic Party. These are states that I've been saying are solid, for the longest time now. And all these states in this scenario, they're all going to be very, very solid for the president-elect and one day the president of the United States after noon tomorrow. So this would give Joe Biden, that 180 electoral votes from Illinois, the West Coast, as well as his northeastern strongholds. Now, continuing on this, there are many other solid states for the former vice president or president-elect. You have these states of Colorado as well as the state of New Mexico. These two states, they were around 10% margins in 2020. As you can see, a little bit more for Colorado, but around 10% for New Mexico. And really, the two states of Colorado and New Mexico, if you take a look at the percentage that the Republicans won, 41%, 43% for Trump in these two states. Once you have another Republican in there, it's going to split that vote up quite a bit. And these two states are going to be solid no matter what. If you take a look at another state like New Hampshire, that is going to be solid as well. Let's take a look at this 7% margin. You add in, let's say a Republican or Donald Trump wins 7% of the vote, while the other candidate wins the rest. That is basically, at that point, a solid state for Joe Biden. Minnesota, same thing. You can do the math, Minnesota as well. And so is the state of Virginia. These are all going to be solid Democratic states. I would also add the Maine at-large vote, as well as even the 2nd District of Nebraska. So this already gives Joe Biden 224 electoral votes. So that is just with his solid states, 224 electoral votes. If this is the scenario, there's absolutely no doubt that Joe Biden is going to win every single one of these states on this map right now. Now, for his likely states, he has a ton of likely states. I'm going to start off with some of the more obvious ones. First off, Nevada, that's going to go to Joe Biden once again by a likely margin. Just take a look at the 2020 margin. And we see Trump wins 47%. Let's say Trump wins, 35%, and then you have another Republican win the rest, or however you want to split it. That's going to make it a solid margin for Joe Biden. And I think that, it's not going to be Trump comes in second place in all of these states. It's going to flip-flop between Trump and the Republican nominee. But Trump really, he has a strong grip on the Republican Party. And if he were to run third party, of course, there would be some opposition against him from the Republicans. There would be many Republicans that voted for Trump, but we're the happiest with him that do vote for the Republican nominee. But a lot of them will stick with Donald Trump in 2024. I'll also add the state of Arizona, as well as Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina, finishing off the Sun Belt. So, these four states, they are states that are typically pretty close. I mean, Arizona, Georgia, the closest states in the election. North Carolina, Florida as well. They do lead a little bit more towards the Republicans, but they're definitely, not any sort of runaway margins. If you look at the margins here, 1.3 in North Carolina, 3.3 in Florida, 0.24 for Biden in Georgia, and then 0.3 for Biden in the state of Arizona. So these two states, these four states, I mean, they are nowhere close for either or nowhere solid for either party, Trump or Biden, in 2020 and in 2024. With the political environment being like this, these states are all going to go to the former vice president or president-elect in this scenario. I would also give Joe Biden basically all of the Rust Belt, and I mean all of the Rust Belt, including Iowa as well as Ohio. These states, they are pretty strong for Donald Trump. I mean, 8.1%, 8.2% in Ohio and Iowa. 2016, the margins were basically the same, 8.1 Ohio, 9.4 Iowa. Before this, I mean, these two states, they were blue states, 3% for Obama in Ohio, 5.8% for Obama in Iowa. I think that Donald Trump has really done a great job in the states of Iowa and Ohio, but at the end of the day, I think that with a Republican, is going to have a lot of votes split against Donald Trump, and I think that the Democratic nominee will carry both Iowa and Ohio in this sort of scenario. So this puts Joe Biden up there at 372 electoral votes. And just gonna keep going here with this. I also have the 2nd District of Maine being likely for the Democratic Party. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers here, 44%, you split off a little bit of Trump's vote with a Republican nominee, and they're both finished. So Joe Biden carries the 2nd District of Maine as well. Now, moving on to the lean states, there really aren't that many. I would actually put the 2nd District in the lean column. I don't know why I put it as likely, but the 2nd District, that being the first voting body in the lean category for the Democrats here. And then finally, the state of Texas, that will be the other lean state, 41 electoral votes. I mean, if Donald Trump runs third party, there's absolutely no way that the state of Texas is going to stay red or stay with Trump. I mean, just take a look at how close it was. It was around 5%. That was disappointing for the Democratic Party, but still, 46%, as long as Donald Trump loses a little bit more than 5% of his support there to a Republican, which is going to happen, Donald Trump is going to lose the state of Texas, and that would be an easy win for the former vice president. And then finally, we have the tilt states. There are no more lean, likely, or solid states on this map for Joe Biden. And these states, I mean, they are Republican states, but in this scenario, they would no longer be Trump states or Republican states. So I'm going to start off with the state of Alaska. Now, Alaska, really not as much of a stronghold for the GOP as it once was. If you look at the margin here in 2016, 14.7%. In this election, 10%. If you go back to 2012, 14%. 2008, 21.5%. You go back another 4 years to 2004, 25.5%. So since 2004, it went from 25.5% for Bush, and now in 2020, 10%. Now, the state of Alaska, it's still going to go to Republicans for the next couple of decades, but still, that 7%, that 10% margin is not going to be enough for Joe Biden or for Donald Trump to hold on to the state, nor is for a Republican to win this state. So the state of Alaska, that is going to go to the Democrats. Another state would be the state of South Carolina. Same scenario here. Same thing. They might have won by 12%, but once that vote is split, it is not going to Donald Trump or any Republican. Same thing there with the state of Indiana, as well as, yes, the state of Montana. So I would be giving Joe Biden both these states of Montana as well as Indiana, and then, of course, the state of South Carolina. So these four states, typically very strong Republican states, but on this map, all given to Joe Biden. I would also have to give the former vice president the 1st District of Nebraska in this scenario as well. There just would not be enough votes for Donald Trump or a Republican to win the first district of the state of Nebraska. Now, for the Trump states, there are going to be quite a few Trump states, starting off with the states of North Dakota and South Dakota, as well as the state of Wyoming, all going for Donald Trump. I would also give Donald Trump the state of West Virginia. That would be another likely state. There's really not going to be any solid states for President Trump. As for the lean states, actually Arkansas, another likely state. These states are just a little bit stronger for Donald Trump, just based on his approval ratings in these states. Dakotas, they are typically pretty high there, as well as West Virginia, and then the state of Arkansas. I mean, 60% approval. I don't see Trump losing these states when 60% of the state approves of him. Another state, the state of Idaho, that would be lean, as well as basically most of these Republican states. I would say Kansas would be more of a tilt state, but Missouri, I would say, is a little bit more of a tilt as well. We'll see what happens, how the vote splits. It's really about how strong the Republican nominee is, and I would expect the Republican nominee to be more of a traditional Republican, the Mitt Romney or John McCain sort of type, or Bush type, unlike Donald Trump, it's a little bit more, a lot more radical than those two figures, but they can't go with someone like Trump if they're going to try to beat him, but really this strategy is not going to work. These states are all going to be Trump states. The 3rd district of Nebraska, I think, will be likely, while the at-large vote is probably going to be lean in this scenario. So this would give Donald Trump 92 electoral votes, and then for the Republican nominee, they would win 1 state. And yes, that is the state of Utah, winning at 6 electoral votes. You saw how many votes Evan McMillan was able to win in Utah. Utah is, the Mormon population. They are more traditional conservatives. They are not, the Trump sort of Republicans in the state of Utah. And that's why, every single candidate did so poorly, because Evan McMillan won over 10% of the vote there in the state of Utah. So this final electoral map here with this scenario would give Joe Biden 442 electoral votes, 90 electoral votes for Donald Trump, who'd run as a third-party candidate. And then finally, for the Republican nominee, yes, just 6 electoral votes. This would be their worst performance ever, really. Ever since they became a major party, the Republican Party has never won just 6 electoral votes. This would be, the least amount of electoral votes won by a candidate that, won electoral votes in over a century. And then, for Joe Biden, 442 electoral votes. This would be the largest Democratic victory since Lyndon B. Johnson in 1968, and the largest victory, overall, the first candidate to reach 400 electoral votes since, I believe, Bush Sr. So this would be a big win for Joe Biden. And, this is essentially what you saw in a race like 1912, where Woodrow Wilson was able to destroy William Howard Taft after Teddy Roosevelt ran third party with the Progressive Party in 1912. And you saw William Howard Taft do the worst for an incumbent president, in history, with Roosevelt actually winning more states than Taft. So really, this would be a dream scenario for Joe Biden. He really wouldn't even have to campaign anywhere. He could just sit in the White House, have the third party Donald Trump and the Republican nominee just fight it out, and Joe Biden will win this race easily. So this would be a dream scenario. Republicans would be very, very against it. To the point where they might even nominate Trump again, but we'll see what happens, whether or not the whole impeachment thing goes well for them. But really, I think that this scenario is not the most unlikely, and really this has a pretty high chance of actually occurring. Donald Trump not running with the Republican Party if the Republicans, don't treat him, very well in the next couple of years, and then Joe Biden up there at 442 electoral votes. So this map is a little bit messy, and to show you guys just how many electoral votes Joe Biden has won, I have a more solid electoral map here. As you can see, 440 electoral votes for Joe Biden. I don't know how I got 442 over here. I believe I just I really don't know why these maps are different by those 2 electoral votes. If anyone could point that out for me, I'll really appreciate that. But really, it's just, Donald Trump winning. Really nothing at this point in time. But yeah, I don't know where Trump is getting those other 2 electoral votes from. But as you can see, this map, Joe Biden wins all of the East Coast, all of the West. It really wins all the South except for those 3 states, all of the Midwest, all for Joe Biden. So, this would be a blowout win for, the incumbent president there in 2024. And this is a scenario that, Joe Biden really wants. And I just realized why this is wrong, because this is the 2024 map and this is the 2020 map. So that's why the numbers are a little bit different in a state like Ohio, 18 electoral votes here to 17. So I apologize for that, but this is essentially what the electoral map would look like. So 442 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 90 for Donald Trump, and 6 for whoever the Republican nominee ends up being. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below, which states do you think the Republicans would actually be able to win in this scenario, or which states do you think I got wrong. Subscribe to our channel if you have not. Make sure you join my Discord server if you haven't. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.